Let's bring in Turning Point USA Frontlines White House correspondent Monica Page, along with RNC surrogate and attorney Mahek Cook. Great to have you with us tonight here, ladies. Listen, I got to share this as we talk about the Fed. A lot of people wondering, will he stay or will he go? Talking about the Fed Chair Jerome Powell. I want to share what Mr. Wonderful said, Kevin O'Leary. He said this on Will Cain today, and he's talking about this idea of whether or not the president will send Powell packing.
Whacking the Fed is not about renovating buildings in Washington. That's a big deal because what makes financial markets work globally is the understanding of the balance of the independence of the Fed to make these really important interest rate decisions.
All right, Monica, first to you. Will he stay or will he go?
Well, I don't know. I think he might go. But, I mean, while we can spend this whole segment talking about the $3.1 billion in renovations, this exorbitant amount of money, this visit today really shows that the president takes this seriously. And he's keeping the American homebuyer at the forefront of his mind at the moment. And what's interesting is that the Fed chair really appears to be playing politics with the futures of millions of Americans. I mean, take a look at what we're dealing with right now. Inflation has been cooling. Job growth has been going pretty steady. And the Fed is still holding on to these rates. And when it comes down to it, you know, you get into this endless cycle of renting, which I know for a fact I'm in it. And you've got couples that are going to postpone starting families. This is crushing the American dream. This is not just about housing, it's about futures. Yeah, crushing the American dream is what a lot of people are saying at the White House as well, Mahek, because the fact is, like Monica points out, if you're a young person, you're trying to get a decent rate on a loan, you want to refi, you want to buy a house, you want to get a car, and it doesn't make sense when you consider what Mr. Powell did for the Biden administration, or arguably for the country, right before the election. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Kevin, absolutely. Look, what we're seeing today is Jerome Powell playing politics rather than working for the American people. He's asking for $3.1 billion. What are you building, the Taj Mahal in Washington, D.C., rather than taking care of hardworking Americans that want to buy a home? Like Monica, this is where you continue to see Jerome Powell not actually working for the American people. And then he had the audacity to lie and say he didn't ask for $3.1 billion. Trump had to show him the memo that came from his office. So he's gaslighting the American people. This is the same Powell who went to Congress and lied and said that he didn't ask for money for renovations like terrace, rooftop gardens, a living room that was a VIP service, and marble. I mean, instead of marble, let's focus on how we get home buyers into homes today and off the streets and out of rentals.
Look, I don't care if they have to use Formica. I mean, let's not spend $3 billion renovating a building. Listen, I'd be remiss if I didn't ask you about this Ron Klain story, Mahek. A lot of people wondering, he's the first one to not plead the fifth repeatedly. There may be more there than maybe we realized before this day. Let me share this. This is to FoxNews.com. Elizabeth Elkind writing this, a source familiar with his voluntary interview telling Fox News Digital that the ex-Secretary of State Hillary Clinton and former Biden National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan both approached Ron Klain, stating they believed Joe Biden was not politically viable months before he dropped his re-election bid in 2024, the source said. What do you make of that? And what do you make, Mahek, of the fact that Ron Klain is talking?
Look, Klain does not get a participation trophy today for first misleading the American people. Are we supposed to applaud him now that after all this time, when he knew that Biden was mentally declining, when he continued to say that he wasn't fit to run in 2024, why is he saying it now? And why didn't he invoke the 25th Amendment and raise his hand and say, I have a duty to the American people? He's saying it now because he's lost power and he feels like he has nothing to lose. But the American people were the losers. There was a constitutional dereliction of duty. And what these people did in the Biden administration was they turned their back on a president that was unfit and declining in mental health. They turned their back on the American people for political gain and power. So I'm not applauding them. I'm not giving them participation trophies. I think this is so disrespectful and a disservice to the American people. And the biggest cover-up was not that Biden was mentally declining. It's the fact that they continued to cover this up and gaslight the American people.
Monica, 30 seconds. What do you think?
Well, I covered the Biden White House for a year and a half, and I saw everything on full display. And the fact that this White House tried to censor me and tried to censor those who dare question the president's cognitive acuity and try to cover it up, saying he's fit behind closed doors. He does need to take a cognitive test. I mean, what they did to the American people was criminal.
Gaslighting all the way.
All the way.
Monica and Mahek, thank you both. We appreciate your time tonight. Thank you so much.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.